As much as I enjoy my big battle action shonen shows, sometimes I find myself in the mood to just take a back seat and throw on something chill, like a wholesome romance or a high school comedy, or, one of the most gut-wrenching, emotionally devastating pieces of media I've ever borne witness to. What's up, anime fans and manga readers? We're back with another video in the best anime recommendation series on the planet, and you might want to grab your tissues for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, today we thought it'd be best to shake up the vibe a little and serve up some quality emotional trauma in the form of a little show known as Violet Evergarden. This story, like many other anime in this day and age, begins in the pages of a light novel. The original series, written by Kana Akatsuki, with illustrations by Akiko Takashi, ran for 5 years from 2015 to 2020 and tells the story of Violet, a former child soldier who has known nothing but battle her entire life. Set in the fictional land of Telesis, the author does something interesting with the premise by following the main character not during the events of the war, but in its aftermath. Wounded and maimed after all the fighting is done, Violet is left with only the haunting words of her mentor and dearest companion to hold on to. I love you. That should be simple enough for most people to understand, right? Right? Wrong! You see, growing up as she did, Violet is, let's just say, not particularly in touch with her own emotions or those of others. She's naive and aloof and inexperienced with the norms of human communication, at least at the start of the series. As the story goes on, we get to see that this aloofness, as much as it can be a hindrance to her interactions with people, also lends her a certain honesty and frankness, which comes into play in quite an interesting way. The story opens as she begins a new chapter in her life working at the CH Postal Company, where she becomes an auto memory doll, a professional letter writer helping people express their feelings and connect with others all across the world. It's a setup that I personally find so interesting. A woman struggling with understanding her emotions, trying to help others convey theirs. Every letter she writes provides her and us, the viewers, with snippets into other people's lives, allowing her to come to terms with her feelings about the people in her own life. She embarks on many journeys to help others relay their feelings, all while seeking to understand her own. We watch her reshape the lives of those she comes across, and she unravels the true meaning of those haunting words that still linger in her heart. I love you. There is simply no anime like Violet Evergarden, which is no mean feat as there are thousands of animes out there, dozens and dozens of them airing every single season. For a show that's only 12 episodes long, Violet Evergarden left me with a deep and lasting impression, one that I have no doubt will persist long after the finer points of the show's narrative have faded away. At its core, it's a story about human connection and the power of words in expressing our innermost feelings, and the choice to frame it all through the eyes of a character who's struggling through her own emotions. Now, this next part might come as a surprise to some of you, but I watch movies. And I'm not just talking about Studio Ghibli films or Makoto Shinkai movies, I mean actual live-action movies with three-dimensional humans playing the characters, and while this may be sacrilege to the extremists in the weeb community, you'd be surprised how many parallels can be drawn between live-action and anime. I'm not necessarily saying that's the case with Violet Evergarden, but watching this show reminded me immensely of a movie I saw a few years ago called Her. Now, don't get me wrong, they are both extremely different types of stories, but a common theme between them is that of exploring human emotions through the eyes of these emotionally conflicted characters who try to transmit the feelings of others through words and come to ponder upon what it means to love and be loved. It's the kind of thing you would expect from an artsy Hollywood project like Her, but it's always a pleasant surprise whenever I see such heavy themes handled with as much care and tact in anime. Violet Evergarden is one of those shows that highlight the potential of anime as a medium. Kyoto Animations is one studio that always goes above and beyond with each one of their projects, and I'm glad to say that this show was no exception. It's set in this vibrant world that is in so many ways similar to ours, but with its own distinct look and feel. The show doesn't say much about its world in the way of exposition, but you can see the rich history in the cobbled street and vine-covered buildings. The world, in all of its vibrance, is used almost as a supporting character, popping up just enough to enrich the narrative without overshadowing it. Speaking of the narrative, the show opts for an anthology-style structure, with each episode having Violet draft a new letter for some new character or other, and moving on in the very next one. This approach to storytelling showcases all sorts of personalities and the wider world, while allowing the focus to remain on the titular character as she navigates all these different scenarios and draws lessons from them. Violet as a character can be a bit understated, especially compared to the more flamboyant protagonists typical of the medium, but she is very much a fully realized character, and even more so by the end of the show. In fact, you could say that the entire anime is understated in its vibe, allowing for a slower, more contemplative narrative to unfold, and when it does, boy does it hit hard. Emotional trauma has never looked this good. Action is used sparsely, making it all the more impactful when it does pop up, but Violet Evergarden is simply not that type of story. It is the story of a disabled young woman coming to terms with her emotions after a deeply traumatizing event and discovering the power of words to express herself, and it's beautiful. If that's not exactly your cup of tea, then that's fine, but for those of us who like to get a good cry every once in a while and are in the mood for a generously animated, emotionally devastating watch, then you can't go wrong with this one. And come on, guys, let's be for real for a second here. It's about an anime girl with cyborg arms. I mean, they look kinda medieval, but there's no mistaking that those are cyborg arms. It can't get much cooler than that, I tell ya. Anyway, that's all we have for today, folks. Do you agree with my pick? Maybe there's some really great facts about Violet Evergarden that I forgot to mention. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and ring the notification bell to get regular updates on new videos. I make awesome anime and manga content like this every week, so be sure to check them out. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.